Hi, this is Champlet2 on the PlayStation Network. This series of videos will show all of the preps, setups, and finales of Act 1, 2, and 3 of the Doomsday Heist. After doing this heist a few times, I've noticed how difficult it is to try to follow the storyline while shooting and trying to stay alive. So that's what inspired me to make these videos, to allow you to watch it almost like a movie. I'll make every effort not to talk over the heist story dialogue so you can hear what the story's all about. I'll offer some basic information about the heist missions, but this will not be a tips and tricks video for the Doomsday Heist. This video includes all of the Act 2 preps, and you can skip ahead to a specific prep mission using the times in the video description if you'd like. There's also a playlist on my channel, so you can watch all of the preps, setups, and finale of Act 2 all together, as well as Act 1 and Act 3. You have 3 options for the prep missions. You can complete them in a public session, or you can steal the prep items from other players in the session, or you can purchase each of the prep items. As you see here, each of the preps costs $94,500 to purchase them. That can wind up costing you more than you'll earn in the whole act. We'll start out with the prep key cards, and I'm going to skip a little bit of this loading time because it can take up to about 30 seconds.
There's a location up on your GPS. Now we need a new span to get a key card to get in an aircraft hangar to steal an Avenger, because the Russians are here on a submarine. Okay, you got that? Good. A news team's been called out to help the LSPD with some bank robbers or something. So get their van while they're occupied and bring it to me. Remember when we just robbed banks? What innocent times those were.
I realized I accidentally left the in-game music on, and I figured it out later and turned it back off because I think it's just easier to hear the dialogue without it, so sorry about that.
Mrs. Rackman is not a lady we want to trifle with. Unless we want to end up in a secret foreign prison, that is. I mean, do you want to end up at an IAA black site? Yeah, me neither.
It's important to remember about the preps. If you're going to take other players with you, make sure you hire them before you start the prep mission, because you can't invite them or hire them after you've started it. And another interesting thing about the preps is you can use your CEO vehicles for these. You can't use your CEO vehicles in the setups or the finale, but they work great for the preps. And I love using the CEO buzzard for these. It's just very handy. So the prep missions can take place just about anywhere. I've seen it at several other different gas stations besides just this one here. So there's a lot of guys to shoot here. I'm gonna save a little time on the video and skip ahead. Took us a few minutes to get them all out from that distance. And my teammate's gonna jump out of the helicopter here and parachute down to go pick up this riot van that's there by the gas station. That's what we came to pick up. And there he goes. Well, I should say she. It's a female character, but a guy running it. Okay, so I'm just defending him, keeping the cops off of him as much as I can.
You got it? Okay, it's back to base for you.
And I'm just gonna follow him back to protect him.
You all right, huh? I should probably say we'd rather you didn't bring the cops here. We've kinda got enough to deal with right now.
Since this is a long trip, I'm gonna skip ahead, and while we were on this trip, first I turned off the music. I finally remembered to do that. I landed the helicopter and I traded with my friends so I could drive this riot van back in.
There's a sub off the coast, foreign agents everywhere, and no real explanation of what's going on. Oh, I'm sure there are conspiracy videos about this online, but I'm too scared to watch them.
So that's about it for this prep. I'm just going to take this van back in, and when I get into the facility, you're going to hear a little bit from Lester. He talks about the preps and how you can either complete them or steal them or pay for them.
So the setup jobs are a big deal ahead of the final operation, the move on the submarine. So we always got to make sure we have the equipment we need. Might seem like this prep work is small fry, but details matter. We need this stuff, but it's not so important how we get it. Source it, steal it from rival crews, throw money down to buy it, whatever. Get the equipment and we can do the job and we can get paid.
You can do the preps and setups pretty much in any order you want, as long as the required preps are done before you do each setup. But we're just going to go ahead and do these in order, the way they appear on the screen. So the next one is the Prep ULP Intel. And I neglected to mention last time, if you look at the map at the bottom left, how it's all red, that indicates that this prep can take place anywhere on the map.
So we're looking for the whereabouts of this missing IAA agent. ULP, they called him. He was last seen with some very bad people. Take out the target sent to your phone while I monitor various channels. ULP wasn't just heading up the investigation into these breaches. You know what else he was in charge of? The IAA's drug deals on the West Coast. They just can't help themselves. Some of these bastards love selling rocks to fund their illegal wars.
I grabbed one of the oppressors they provide for you just to show you that they're there, and that's an option. I just prefer to use the buzzard.
Well, at least there are some seemingly competent people at the IAA, like Mrs. Rackman. Keep taking down those dealers, and someone's gonna lead us to that missing agent.
On the last prep, I mentioned that I traded places with my teammate so I could bring the van back in. And part of the reason for that was I could leave my teammate in the city, because a lot of these things take place in the city. And you don't actually have to have the host and all of the associates participate in the preps to still get credit for it. I could theoretically stay at the facility and let him go take out all of these dealers if I wanted to. The thing to remember is don't leave your character unattended, because if the cops are after one of you, they'll probably come after all of you.
You take out enough of these criminals, they'll panic and someone will start talking about the kidnapping.
So all you have to do is go to each one of these red targets and take them out, which again is so easy with the buzzard. So I'm just going to fly down here and take them all out. And I believe you do have to take out all 4 of them. I don't think you actually find the guy who talks until you get all 4 of them done. And as I mentioned earlier about the map, these dealers could have been anywhere on the map. They could have been up in Grapeseed. Just so happens these happen to have been in the city. And more often than not, you do find a lot of the prep stuff in the city. So I think I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just to save a little time, and we'll get to the last one. Here's the 4th and final target, and I did not skip any of the dialogue for you.
Alright, we got it. One of his dealers set him up. I traced his cell phone to an apartment. Get over there and recover anything that might tell us where they're holding him. And don't expect a friendly welcome.
So we're just going to head over here to this apartment. I believe my teammate is somewhere on the ground, and he's going to meet me there. These apartments are usually either on a 2nd floor or up a flight of stairs. I haven't seen one yet that was on the main floor, except maybe one. But again, they could be just about anywhere. And they usually do have at least a guy or 2 outside, so you can take them out before you get in there. And now I'm just going to look for a safe place to land this buzzard somewhere. teammate. Whoa! Bad move, dude. He just walked right into my blades. And here comes my teammate. There he is. That's a nice looking lowrider there. Kind of want to take that. Okay, so we just have to get up the steps to the apartment.
Russian made. The cameras show him going in with it. Pick it up and bring it in.
Now what you won't see here is I went ahead, since I was close to the door, I waited for my friend to pick up the package that we came for, and then I kind of went straight out the door. Somehow or other, more enemies spawned in after I walked out the door, so my teammate had to deal with them. So there he is, and now I'm walking out, but he said at least 2 or 3 more guys came in after I walked out.
Any hope of finding that agent is in that bag. Bring it in for analysis and watch out for any interested parties.
So just for the sake of curiosity, I wanted to see if there was any way I could steal this car. I thought it was kind of cool looking, and of course I fully expected that I wouldn't be able to keep it. But I just thought I'd go ahead and give it a try anyway, for curiosity's sake. So as you'll see as we're leaving here, there's a couple of guys coming after us on the ground, and might have made a lot more sense to have just left in the buzzard. Certainly would have been easier. We wouldn't have had to deal with these guys. And being that this is an extremely low rider, we actually kind of got stuck there against the curb. Couldn't even get it out of here, so we had to, take these guys out before we could even keep going. So we tried a couple of different things. During the mission I tried to put it in a garage and I couldn't. After the mission, once we delivered everything at the facility, I tried to take it to one of my personal garages and I couldn't. So although it did seem like a little fun, don't waste your time. You can't keep it. I'm guessing because the value's too high or something, or it's somebody else's personal car. But anyway, since this is a long trip, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward here to us arriving at the facility. Still in this lowrider, but again, couldn't keep it. And that's it for this heist prep. That's weird. My friend's bouncing up in the air there. And as with a lot of the other preps and setups, when you're done, the host gets a little message from Lester.
Okay, this should lead us right to him. When you want to put on a rescue, you know where to go.
Now we'll move on to the next prep, if we're just doing them in the order they appear. And that is the prep for the riot control van. And again, you'll see when we select this one, the red area covers the entire map down there at the bottom left, so it could be virtually anywhere.
Get out to that spot. There are enemy agents all over the state, and we're trying to disrupt them however we can. Which is why we need a riot control van. Which is why we need a riot, which is why you're starting one. Okay?
So I'm going to stop and take a look at the map here to figure out exactly where this is, because it seems like usually when I get this it's somewhere down in the city. But this one happens to be pretty close to the wind farm, so I'm just going to skip ahead and get us over there and save a little travel time.
You might not have noticed it, but nice friendly corporations have bought up most of the public's squares and parks in LS. Oh, and they have their own nice, friendly security guards to keep the peace. So get there and cause chaos. Launch some tear gas, you know, punch a few folks. Just get in the mix and wait for the riot van to arrive. Then steal it from the fascist prigs and come back. And don't kill anyone. It's just a riot. We don't want the cops there.
Well, that's funny. He mentioned parks and such in LS, and we're in Blaine County. But anyway, so like you said, be sure you don't kill anybody. If you end up pounding on them enough times that they fall over, that I guess that doesn't really count. But don't shoot anybody, because that will for sure fail it.
Okay, corporate HQ won't like the look of this. Keep it up.
Apparently this little pink-haired chick wants a piece of me. And there's my teammate in the Fathom.
Keep that fight going until the head office sends out the boys.
I thought I'd come over here to get a good look at what's going on from a distance.
This is a PR nightmare. The riot squad will be there soon.
So my friend told me one of these guys had a bottle and he was cutting people. So I jumped up on the van so he couldn't get me.
There's the RCV. Get it and bring it in.
Guess I didn't notice the RCV was here and he got me. Well, that wasn't nice.
Okay, this van might be the only thing that stands in the way of the Russians, or whoever they are, doing what they came here to do. Is it weird that there's a Russian nuclear sub off the coast of San Andreas? Or is that like par for the course? I'm not sure which answer to that question would be more disquieting.
My friend's slowing down here because since this is a prep mission, he could call Lester and lose the wanted level just to make it a little easier to get back. And since this is a very long trip in a very slow van, I'm gonna skip a little bit of the trip back. Okay, skipping ahead a little bit here. Oh, there's one of our friends. We're passing by there. And my friend who was driving was having a lot of fun this particular evening, hitting motorcycles on the way. So I thought I'd leave part of this in here because it's just kind of funny. But if you haven't bought a facility yet, remember that the distance does matter, because some of these vehicles are really, really slow, like this one. And if you had to drive it back from somewhere in Los Santos to somewhere way up north in Blaine County, that would take a long time. Especially if you're doing the heist with maybe just 2 or 3 people and you're picking up 4 items, for example, and you have to make more than one trip. That would be a long trip to make it from somewhere in the city to way up north in Blaine County. So keep that in mind when you're picking the facility if you haven't bought one. And oh my goodness, I was going to say up on 2 wheels, but I guess that's really 3 on one side. But he saved it. One more motorcycle there, and we'll skip ahead just a little bit more, get us closer to the facility and get this done. So as you can see, even with the editing, this is a long trip, and it wasn't even really that far from where we picked this up to my facility at Lago Zancudo.
The Russian invasion of Los Santos is definitely not something you would have expected a few years ago, but now I'm like, meh.
And that's about it for this prep, except maybe one more good motorcycle hit and a couple of pedestrians in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this is one of those preps that I didn't get a message from Lester after this one, not sure why, but just didn't get one. So that's all there is. The next prep in Act 2 is the STROMBERGS. The objective is there's flatbed trucks all over the city. Some of them, well, and in Blaine County. Some of them have Strombergs on them, some of them don't. And you have to go find them and pick up the ones that do have Strombergs and bring them back to your facility. Here we go.
Okay, head out. Luckily, Arrival Import-Export crew's done most of our work for us. They've got direct cars on the back of some wastelanders. I'll send you an image of what you're looking for.
Here's the text that you get from Lester. Oops, looked in the wrong place. There we go. And this shows that's the car you're looking for. It needs to be on the back of the flatbed truck. And again, there are several of them. Not everyone's going to have it. I'm doing a lot of skipping in this because the first method I tried was very unsuccessful. I'd only done this prep maybe 2 or 3 times at this point and had no success with it up to this point. Each time I had done it before, I was in some wimpy little car and couldn't keep up with the flatbed truck, or he'd just plow right over me, or I couldn't shoot him because I was too low. So this time I thought, well, I'll get my Insurgent.
Boss, some wheels? I can bring them around.
I figured it was at least a bigger, tougher vehicle, and maybe I could bully him off the road, or you know, I could stop in front of him and maybe he couldn't get past me. I just figured I'd try the Insurgent. So I ordered it, and here I am. I'm going to go get it. And then once I got in, I went to check and see what was the closest Stromberg to me that my friend wasn't already going to get. And I'm just going to skip ahead here until I get up close to it and show you how this went. Here's where I made my huge mistake.
That's one. Bring the whole truck into the base.
I pulled right in front of him, thinking my Insurgent would stop him, and obviously it didn't. So then I thought, well, I'll just shoot them. Now they're off to the races. You saw before they weren't driving that fast. Now, here's the funny part. I cut at least 5 or 6 minutes of video of me chasing this guy all over town, and finally got him stopped here. I at least killed the passenger, but the driver was still going. It took me forever once I had basically let these guys know I was coming after them. They took off, and it was grisly. I had a heck of a time trying to get them. So that method worked, but not very well. Now I'm going to return this flatbed with the Stromberg on it back to my facility, and I'm going to skip ahead a bit. When I got there, my friend had already delivered 2 of them, and I had just delivered 1. So I went ahead and picked up my CEO Buzzard and brought my friend along, and we're out looking for another flatbed with a Stromberg on it. Now here's what happens when you find a flatbed that does not have a Stromberg. This prep is taking me forever because, you know, I had such a hard time getting the first one, and I skipped ahead here. We finally found one.
That's what we're after. Okay. Repo the repo truck and bring it in.
So then I asked my friend, I said, what's your secret? How did you get those so fast? Because I had such a hard time getting them. And he said, well, whether you're in a Buzzard or a car or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just stop ahead of the flatbed truck that has the Stromberg on it and make sure there's at least one random vehicle in between you and the flatbed, and he'll stop. Now that's actually pretty funny because that was the same methodology I recommended in one of my videos from Import-Export when you get the one where the car is on the move, and I said just stop ahead of another car and the car will stop and he won't run away. Well, it worked here too, but I'd completely forgotten about that. And my friend reminded me, he said, yeah, I just did the same thing here and it worked just fine. And he's right, it worked. So, needless to say, that's a lot easier than trying to shoot him and fight with him. Just stop ahead of another car and he'll stop. So we brought this back to the facility, very long drive back, so I'll skip that. And here we are arriving with the fourth and final Stromberg. And since there was just two of us, you know, we did have to pick up 2 Strombergs each. Which is funny, because we're only going to need 2, but we still had to get all 4. Obviously, that's because you could have 2 people on the prep and 4 people on the setup mission. So here's the last little message from Lester when you complete this prep.
Okay, that's the set. We'll start working on the cars. When you've got the weapon system, we can move on the sub.
The last prep for Act 2, there's actually 2 required preps for the setup submarine recon. The first was Prep Strombergs, and this is Prep Torpedo ECU. So you do have to complete both of those preps, or steal them both, or pay for them both, before you can do the setup submarine recon.
Head out to that point. If you're going underwater to look at that big bad Russian submarine, you'll need to protect yourselves with torpedoes. That's easy enough, but torpedoes need ECUs, which you can't get in this country. Luckily, there are some arms dealers on a platform just over the maritime boundary who might have some in stock. So go do your duty-free shopping.
So I'm going to come up here and grab a buzzard to go get this, and as I've mentioned before with the preps, I personally find the buzzard, the CEO buzzard, really handy for these, especially this mission. And what's odd is he was talking about them being just over the maritime border. Every other time I had done this, I always got them up in Paleto Bay, and this was like maybe only the 3rd time. I just thought it was odd that they put it right at Vespucci Beach and called that over the maritime border. But oh well. So I'm just going to go down here and trigger the yellow dot, and we'll get this started.
When I said shopping, by the way, I meant stealing. Take control of the platform and get the ECUs.
So this is why I really like having the buzzard for this one. You could obviously fly in or snipe these guys from a distance, but the buzzard is just so incredibly easy, except for this snarky little guy on the sea shark down there. He is an incredibly accurate shot, and it's hard to get him because he's going so fast that he kind of outruns these missiles. So you'll notice here he's doing us more than a little bit of harm. And I was trying to chase him down for a little while, but he gets right up under you and you can't shoot him. So at one point I just said, well, I'll just land and we'll take him out from there. We're just getting rid of all the guys on the platform here so we can land on it. And there's a couple of, I guess they're big duffel bags that we have to land on the platform and take. Right now I was trying one more time to get some distance between us and the sea shark and see if I could take him out. But as you can see, I'm not having much luck, and he's really damaged our buzzard. So we're just going to land here and deal with him. Now here's another reason why I really, really love taking the buzzard, or... Oh, my friend jumped a little early there. Taking the buzzard, or basically any helicopter with missiles, is that after we get here and we pick these up, these duffel bags, we're going to have some major enemies coming after us in helicopters.
Okay, you got him. Use whatever you need on that platform and bring him in.
But this buzzard is already in pretty bad shape. So we're going to get in here and deal with these guys that are up close, and I'm going to go ahead and order another buzzard. Thankfully we're not far from the helipad. Right now I'm just trying to get away from them, so if our buzzard dies, it won't die in the ocean.
Considering that went down in international waters, it was barely even a crime. Who am I kidding? Of course it was.
Hello, you're through to Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help? Thank you, madam. Your spectacular aircraft is now ready for you at our nearest airfield.
Mrs. Rackman holds the purse strings now. At the end of the day, she's the one we gotta please. Let's all play nice and get our paychecks.
Okay, so now we finally lost this buzzard. And on my way down, unfortunately, the buzzard got me. But this is an important thing to know on the preps. You can die as many times as you need to, as long as one of your teammates or something, well, actually it doesn't matter. Even if you're by yourself doing the preps, you can keep dying and keep doing it until you get it right. There's no limit, like you don't just get one life and then you have to start over. It'll basically pick you up where you left off. I have lost the duffel bag that I was carrying. So as soon as I get these guys out of my way, where I can safely go back and get it, I'll do that. Meanwhile, I think my friend is over there trying to pick up our new buzzard. I know the duffel bag is over here somewhere, and it's probably right under my nose, but at first I did not see it. It's right there, but I just didn't see it. And I saw the helicopter coming, so decided to take out a couple of these guys. There you can see my friend picked up our buzzard. And it's distressing. These homing missiles used to be a lot more accurate than they seem to be lately. I'm not sure why that is. Now I see the duffel bag, finally. Okay. So I'm going to go meet my friend. And we'll still have quite a few helicopters chasing us for a little while on our way back. So I'll show you part of that, and I don't think there's any more dialogue until we get close to the facility. Nice shooting. We'll deal with these guys and start heading back up to the facility. My facility is at Lago Zancudo, so thankfully it's not all that far from where we are. But you can see these guys are pretty vicious. I'm near dead there. I had just put on an armor, but they shot right through it. Now we have buzzard number 2 is in bad shape, but we're just going to get out of here. And as we get close to the facility, buzzard number 2 finally gave up. And hopefully it won't take me out again. I'll just coast down here and we'll find a way back. There goes my friend. Since that was a Pegasus buzzard, I could just order another CEO buzzard and be right on my way. Again, another one of the reasons I love using the CEO buzzard for these prep missions. Just very handy. Came over here to pick my friend up, and I think he had already stolen a car by the time I got there. And we'll just take these duffel bags back to the facility. That concludes the prep missions for Act 2. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the rest of my Doomsday Heist story series of videos, and there's lots of other videos on my channel you may also find helpful. A like for this video and a subscription to my channel would be greatly appreciated. As we land here in the facility, we'll get one last little comment from Lester in preparation for the setups for Act 2. Now go forth and save Los Santos from Doomsday.
Okay, Your ECUs are going in the torpedoes, your cars are repaired. We're ready for the move on the submarine whenever you are. Just go to planning.